Welcome to the #1 source for information, news, and opinion on your Columbus Blue Jackets. This is CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. You can also find the audio version on the CBJ Radio SoundCloud page, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Google Play Music, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Now here's your host, Bob McElligott.
Welcome to CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. What a big show I have for you today. Former Blue Jacket Scott Hartnell joins me to talk about his new career as a broadcaster in the National Hockey League. That's coming up in just a bit. But first, the Blue Jackets, a winner last night in Dallas. They scored a 4-1 win at home on Tuesday over the Detroit Red Wings, snapped a 5-game losing streak. They were desperately looking to put together another good, solid effort. I think it's safe to say they did that last night in Dallas. Let me also tell you about Telhio Credit Union, because at Telhio, they've been putting people above profits since 1934. They've been doing it for so long, it is just what they do. It comes second nature to them. So do you have your money in the right place? Are you sure? You can find out by going to their website at telhio.org. Surf around, click on the tabs, see what services they have, see what perks they provide, and maybe you'll find that Telhio is where you need to be. The question you'll be asking yourself is, why use just a regular bank when you can become part of a credit union that puts you above everything else? Telhio Credit Union. Find them online at telhio.org. So the Blue Jackets, that big win last night, it wasn't pretty in many ways. I mean, it was a game where you had to wonder if anybody was going to score. The Blue Jackets broke the 0-0 tie late in the second period. I shouldn't even say the Blue Jackets. One guy did it. It was Boone Jenner. Put the team on his back for that shift, went to the boards, battled Andrej Sekera, the defenseman, stole the puck away, and instead of just dragging it off the wall, skated a couple of strides, found himself in a good shooting position on Anton Khudobin and beat him. And it was a game where at that point, you had to think whoever gets the first goal is going to get a ton of momentum because the teams were playing the same way. Well, they both went into the game as teams that over the past couple of weeks have struggled to score. The Dallas Stars hadn't scored in 7 periods going into the game. So teams are struggling to score. Not all facets of their game were working. In Dallas, when they were playing well 5-on-5, they weren't playing well on special teams and vice versa. The Blue Jackets know what that's all about, right? And what's happened to them in the 2 weeks previous to the win against the Detroit Red Wings on Tuesday night. So the storylines were the same for both teams. Dallas was missing Alexander Radulov. He got hurt at Nationwide Arena on February the 4th, hasn't played yet, although he is getting closer to returning. I don't know if he'll be in for the second game tomorrow night or not, but they would like for that to be the case. He's got a lower body injury. He wasn't in there. Rope Hintz, who is another good player for them, didn't play last night. So the Blue Jackets needed to take advantage, and they did. And I thought Anton Khudobin fought the puck a bit last night. I don't think there's any question. When it came to the goaltenders, Korpisalo was the better one, and the Blue Jackets got the win because of it. But it's a 1-0 game then going into the third period, and the Stars make just a huge mistake in their own end and hand the puck to a wide-open Oliver Bjorkstrand, who's 8 feet in front of the goaltender, able to go at him one-on-one, beats him, 2-0 game. Then it looked like Boone Jenner was getting his second of the game when he shot from inside the blue line, and it was ruled, and I didn't see it initially, but thanks to high-definition cameras and super slow motion, they were able to figure out that the shot from Jenner, the puck just glanced off the blade of the skate of Eric Robinson, so he got the goal. At that point, it wasn't about who gets the goal. It's about getting goals, and it was 3-0. And then I think the Blue Jackets may have exhaled a little bit, and I think if they did, it cost them because Dallas came roaring back with 2 goals of their own. Now it's a 1-goal game once again. The pivotal play late in the third period. Blue Jackets are clearing their own end. Nick Foligno is in the neutral zone. Foligno jumps, leaves his skates, stretches his arm out. He's trying to glove down a puck that is high above his head. And he missed the puck. It went over his glove. And Andrej Sekera made contact with him, knocked him down, and the officials called an interference penalty. And Rick Bowness, the head coach of the Stars, was livid on that bench because at that time there were 3 minutes and some odd seconds left in the game. 2 of them just disappeared because now you're shorthanded. So, hey, look, sometimes those calls go your way. Sometimes they don't. It went the way for the Blue Jackets last night. I don't know, should it have been a penalty or not? In the NFL, it would have been ruled an uncatchable pass and no pass interference. But anyway, like I said, they didn't score on the power play, but they used it to run 2 more minutes off the clock and then, continued to do something that they did really well last night, block shots, pack it in front of the goalie. They did that. They survived. They get the win. They get the points. Huge, absolutely huge for this team. So it was a very, very good win. And now there's another game in Dallas coming up tomorrow night at 8:00. I'll talk to you about that in just a little bit. But right now, I want to bring on my guest today. He was drafted by the Nashville Predators, started his career there. He got traded to Philadelphia, which is really where he made his name in the NHL. Came to Columbus, put in a couple of good years as a veteran presence for the Blue Jackets, and finally finished it in Nashville, where it all started. Now, he's living just outside of Philadelphia. He's doing some broadcasting for the Flyers, and he also is on NHL Network, which makes him an international star. Without any further ado, please welcome in former Blue Jacket Scott Hartnell. Well, Scott, first of all, it's great to see you, great to talk to you, and I see you a lot because I see you on NHL Network quite a bit. What's the transition been like for you to go from player to TV star?
Well, it's not easy. If anyone tells you it's easy, kind of being on TV and getting your thoughts into words and portraying them to a national audience, they'd be fooling you. The first time I was on the NHL Network, I had to actually ask a question to a media guy from Edmonton, and I'm usually the one answering the questions from the reporters and things like that, and I just froze and I got real quiet, and I didn't know, I didn't project my question, like you and I are having a conversation now, and the producer of the show was in my ear. He's like, "Hey, you need to just project what you're saying." And I'm like, dude, my heart rate's like 180. I'm so nervous. I'm shaking. So the first couple of days I was, you don't want to screw up. You want to try and be perfect, but that's not the case. And, you just kind of learn as you go, and the reps all help. So it was an interesting, start, but I think I feel a lot more comfortable when I'm on there.
You see, when you would come off the ice after a morning skate and those doors would open and all of the media guys would come in there, and you guys would think that was an easy job. Hey, some of them it's an easy job, but you have a new appreciation, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, you gotta ask the right questions. You don't want to sound silly asking I would say not dumb questions, but just questions you're like, as a player, like that doesn't make any sense, right? And but it's different being on the other side of it. And I've talked to Nick Foligno, and Cam Atkinson, my boys there in Columbus, and still have some friends here in Philadelphia that I do the pre-intermissions and post-game stuff for the Flyers, and I talk to them, and it's not like I'm trying to get a scoop to use on air. I'm just calling to say like, hey, how you feeling? Are you banged up or whatever, right? And it's like, are you asking us Scott Hartnell, my friend, or the media guy? And I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. I'm done. I'm like, I won't call you for a month.
That is the double-edged sword. You're absolutely right, because there's always the antenna up going, wait a minute, am I going to hear about this later? Am I going to read about this somewhere later? But no, that's great. I think it's great. Did you know that you were always going to go into doing this, or was it something that you decided once you stopped playing?
It was probably a few years, my last few years of my playing career. Elliot Friedman reached out, asking if I wanted to do some playoff stuff. When Columbus, we didn't make the playoffs a couple of years, and I was always hesitant of doing that, just because I didn't want to. When I was still playing, I wanted to focus on playing. I didn't want to worry about that, and maybe looking back, I would have done one of those series and kind of get involved, see how it all goes. But I just, those guys were asking me, so I'm like, oh, maybe that is something to do. Stay involved in the game a little bit. And do you want to be a coach or a management side or whatever? But this media stuff is fun. You get to go get talk hockey. Just like you get to do. You live a good life. Hockey is almost all I know really well, and it's fun to watch these guys play on TV and talk about it, the good and the bad and the ugly, and just kind of bring my sense of humor to to the TV, and hopefully that gets portrayed when people are watching.
Yeah, that comes across great. And I think that that's really important because I think what this sport misses is a lot of that. I think, and I think it's starting to change. But if you look at the way hockey's been covered, it's always serious and we shouldn't joke around as much. I think you bring a breath of fresh air to the way that the game is covered. And I really enjoy it. So don't stop doing that.
Yeah, and I love your calls with the two new guys there too. Throw me a line, eh? and then with Jack too. I forget what you said with Roslovich. It was
You
pretty
don't know
pretty.
Jack.
Yeah, you don't know Jack
Yeah.
Roslovich. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
No, I appreciate that. Did you talk to Jody Shelley before you went into this venture? Of course, you guys were teammates in Philly and friends when you were playing here. Did you pick his brain?
Yes, definitely. Just talking how he, I didn't think that he would be as good as early as he is and was, doing his color gig. And he just said, be yourself, Scotty. He's like, you got a great personality. The reps will help. Obviously, Brian Boucher, another former Blue Jacket, talked to him. He's doing a heck of a job on NBC Sports, Inside the Glass. So those couple guys have been, really good for me. And I actually had my first color game with Jim Jackson here from the Flyers this weekend, 7 p.m. Versus the Bruins. So it'll be a little bit different. I kind of job shadowing Keith Jones and JJ when they're calling the away games in studio. I'm sitting there listening, kind of to the producers play back in your ears. I got the headset on and, just kind of learning from Jonesy, who's one of the best in the business as well. So I got that to look forward to. And I'm sure my heart rate will be up, in the high 100s too, trying to, color analyze the game, when it's going on.
Hey, just remember, it might be a little bit different, but it's all the same, Scott. It just
Yeah.
and as you said, Jim Jackson, the complete pro who does the play-by-play on TV for the Flyers. And man, the fact that you have a guy like Keith Jones right there who does all the national work that he does and all the work in Philly. I mean, you're not learning from a novice or anything, right?
Yeah, no, he's got a great sense of humor too. He's very, very dry, very witty, and just kind of listen to how he looks at the game, and you kind of describe how and why the play happened, and what I saw, kind of going forward. So it'll be my first game actually watching one in the stands for a while too. It's a home game, so they set up the little booths, in the stands, and it'll be interesting just to see how it is. And I think they're actually allowing fans as well. I think they got about 2,100 fans coming in, so it'll be an exciting day for the fans to get back in the building and see some different energy rather than the crowd noise that they put in there.
Yeah, you'll be amazed. I mean, we had 1,950 the other night, and
Yep.
it wasn't very many, but it was so different. It was so much a step back toward normalcy, just by having some real noise, as you just said. And I can see that
Yeah.
you're learning the business really well because you just said the how and why. That's what I tell students all the time. I said, look, as a play-by-play, I'm the who and what. As a color analyst, you're the how and why. Tell me how it happened.
Yeah.
Tell me why
Yeah.
it happened, right?
Yeah. Just a terrible turnover there by Claude Giroux, and Pasternak buries his fifth goal of the game.
It's funny you bring that up because I did want to ask you about that. Being in Philadelphia, of course, first of all, when you're in Philly, you're under a microscope for everything because the fans are all over it. But Claude Giroux, Jake Voracek, these are guys that you played with as teammates. And now you're on the other side and you're breaking down their games. And if there's something that you do have to point out that they didn't do so right, are you comfortable with that yet?
Yeah, you just got to be honest, right? And the beginning of the year, the Flyers were winning games, but they were playing absolutely horrible hockey. And I didn't call out Jake, but I'm like, on his back check here, he was a little bit lazy. It leads to a big opportunity. If he takes 3 extra hard strides, he's going to get his stick there to break up that pass, and you don't have to rely on Carter Hart. I said that after the game. Be a little bit different at doing it live, and you try and say that in the most respectful way, because usually it's normally just the Flyers fans watching, but I talked to my mom and dad about it too, and always get advice from them going forward. And my mom said, just always remember, there's always a mother of the other team listening, so you don't want to talk bad about them. Like, I've heard announcers talk bad about you, when they couldn't get the home feed, and she goes, I don't like it one bit. So I was like, all right, Mom, all right.
That's really true. And it's, for me, if I'm doing a high school event, I'm very cognizant of that because, their kids are not getting paid and, You know,
Yeah.
I won't break it down the same way that I would during an NHL game by any means, but it's still the same. Your mom's right. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. There's no doubt.
Exactly. You can't be good to everybody. But I'm excited. It's to watch the plays, and I just gotta. Jody said gave me some advice too. Like, get in, get out. You know what I mean? Get in, say your couple things. You don't want to be talking about the hometown of Carter Hart and Sherwood Park, Alberta, when there's a breakaway going the other way, and JJ's like, get let me talk, let me call it, right? So
Yeah.
so I was like, all right, good point. So it'll be I actually, well, remember I tried to get with you when I was in Columbus, my first year retired. I wanted to come in and kind of be the color guy with you, and unfortunately it didn't work out, but that would have been a good learning experience as well.
Yeah, I know. I still don't bring that up. I'm still regretting that never happened. That would have been awesome. But
Yeah.
but look, it's working out for you great, and I'm so happy for you on that. And Jody's right. Like when you're working with Jim, that's going to be your thing for the first probably the first period is figuring out how it works. Right? You're going to have to
Yeah.
figure out what his tendencies are, and really, are you finding out as you do this, like when it comes to that? Are you finding it in some ways it is like when you played where you had to figure out the tendencies of your line mates or your defensemen so you knew where to cover or where to be and when to be there?
Yeah, it'll be color's a little bit different, as you know, so I'll probably learn on the fly with that one. But talking right after the game, you feel like you played it, right? And you try and analyze it. And when I actually was playing, I didn't unless I did something, really bad, I didn't really think about too many plays. And now guys, they watch their shifts right after the games, they watch the shifts right after periods, where I could have been or where I could have shot that. So it just seems more and more these days, these kids are like students of the game, right? To always get better. They're always we always worked on our shot back in our day, but they do a lot more than I did, during the beginning of my career than I did, probably forever, right? So
Does that take any of the fun factor out of the game? I mean, it's great that they're working on it. It's great that they're studying, but I mean, you guys worked on stuff, but you had fun. And look, you just got done playing. I mean, it's not like you played when Bobby Clark played or anything like that, right? I mean, but the game is changing very rapidly, isn't it?
yeah, I think I was in Columbus when I think it was the beat writer there. Oh gosh,
Aaron?
Porcine.
Yeah.
Porcine, and did an interview with me. He's like, "Oh, you're a throwback player." I'm like, "Yeah, after a game, I'd love to have a beer, and instead of a protein shake, and kind of laughing and whatever." And got a call from Yarmo and JD after the game. Hey, like, you can't say that to the paper, like. And I'm like, well, that's just that's kind of who I am, right? And just joking with that, but it's true. It's changed a little bit. I wouldn't say I wouldn't be having fun in the NHL these days. Right now, it's obviously different circumstances, but I played in a great time of the NHL. It was fun. The road trip, staying over, just the camaraderie of the guys. Hardly any cell phones, so guys aren't sitting at that dinner table, refreshing their Twitter or Instagram and that kind of stuff. You had some real conversations and good times. So those I definitely played at the right time where you definitely had those connections with your teammates.
Could you imagine playing this year when you get sent on the road and you have to stay in the hotel? It's the hotel and the rink. There's no team dinners. There's no get-togethers. You're in your room a lot of the time. I think for some, and I would say, Nick Foligno and Cam Atkinson, who you mentioned earlier, guys that have
Yep.
been around for a while, that's got to be devastating, isn't it?
Yeah, you see so many cool things in these cities, right? I was talking with someone last week, and when my first couple times I went to St. Louis, I went to the St. Louis Arch, right, and went up in the thing, and went, whatever. When Dallas, we went to the grassy knoll where JFK was shot, and we did all these cool things in the cities that they are known for, right? And now it's you just go to your room and kind of sit in your bed, and my back would be just barking. It would be messed up every morning because you're basically laying down for not only just your nine hours sleep. You're in there 5-6 hours before that too. So it's a different animal these days, and I don't wish that upon anyone, because I would be losing my mind, and I don't know. It's just crazy to realize that they got to go through this.
Yeah, and it is crazy, and we don't travel, of course, as you said, the Flyers guys are
Yeah.
doing the away games in the studio, and um, Yeah, that's what I've been told by players. You don't want to go on the road. It's just simply not fun. So, yeah, I feel for them when it comes to that, no doubt. Put on your NHL Network analyst hat for me for just a second and
Yep.
tell me, as you look into Columbus and what's going on here, uh, what do you see? And having connections here, I think that you see a little bit more than most. But what do you see going on here?
I see. Well, it was a big win. They needed a big win the last game, the 4-1 victory, I think it is. But you could tell when guys are gripping a stick a little bit too tight, where you have that split second indecision. Should I pass it? Should I shoot it? Next thing defensemen are so quick, they get the stick in the lane and there's no shot. And I just seen there was a lot of that. And when it rains, it pours, and it's been a 4 or 5 games where there was just nothing going on for the Blue Jackets. And you need those 1 or 2 games to kind of get the confidence back, and then it explodes. Cam Atkinson has been unbelievable here the last few weeks. He's a scorer that scores in bunches. Nick Foligno, he's going to the right areas. Boone's going to the right areas, and soon enough you're going to get those breaks. And it's frustrating to see, because you can see the good players, you can see it's there, but it's just not coming together, and that's probably the biggest frustrating thing for management, coaches alike.
So many of these guys, and I've been around them obviously, and I've watched them when things go well, they can go very well, and when they start to go badly, they can get bad really quick for this group. They're, as Jody says all the time, they are a feel good team. When they feel good, they do great things. Why is that typical of most teams, do you think, or what is that dynamic, the confidence dynamic?
Yeah, it's a weird thing, the confidence word, right? It's when you personally, I've been on 7, 8, 10 goalless droughts, and then it's one thing that goes off your shin pad, you get a rebound, or the goalie's out of the net, you get a tap in that's laying right on the goal line, and then the next 6, 7 games you rattle off 13, 14 points, right? And that's what Cam Atkinson's doing, and you need other guys to kind of follow suit in that. And when things are going great, they're great, but when they go bad, for something, for players and for the team, they could go real bad. So you want to try and even that out if you can, and other guys get going when some guys are struggling, and Torts does a great job of trying to find that chemistry to light a fire under someone's butt to get them going. And I saw the boost of confidence that Yarmo gave Torts, and I love Torts as a coach, as a person, and he's very demanding at times, but he knows that's the best way to get his guys going.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about John Tortorella, because overall in the media, people are very quick to jump on him, and if there's a problem with the team, the problem's got to be him, and this and that. And I have a close relationship with him, so it's skewed because I know how he is. But you're the same way. You played for him, and
Yep.
and so how do you approach that? Like, especially you're on these national shows and you're talking about it, your experience as a player playing for John Tortorella. How does that, what insight has that given you that maybe other members of the media just don't know? They have their talking points about him, but you actually know him.
Yeah, no, I wish I would have had Torts when I was 20 years old, right? 28 to 24 years old, to make me be a pro every day I'm at the rink. I like to screw around, I like to have fun. For him, when you're at the rink, it's work. Not that I didn't work beforehand, but it would instill that in you. When you come to play during the games, you play, or you're not going to play, right? You're going to, I took how many bad penalties during my career. The only coach that kind of made me accountable for that was Tortorella, right? I got scratched a couple games. I was, obviously upset about it, but at the end of the day, I was like, wow, it's, got to think more of the team first than me punching someone in the face or whatever, right? So those few things right there were good teaching tools for me, and I was 34 years old, right? Exactly where you stand with Torts. There's no screwing around. If you're playing well, you're going to play. If you're not playing well, you're definitely not going to play. And when you are out there, you have to do the right things. You got to back check hard. You got to forecheck the right way. You got to do the systems, because if everyone's doing that, everyone's going to be on the same page. And it'd be interesting to see or talk to Pierre-Luc Dubois. When he in 5-10 years, who was one of your favorite coach, or who's one of your best coaches. And even though Torts was hard on him and wanted him to be better every night, because he wanted to push him to be that best player, It'd be interesting to see if he actually does come back and say Torts, because at the time you might not like it, how hard he is on you. You might think he's picking on you or whatever, but he's doing the best thing for you.
Speaking of Pierre-Luc Dubois, the city has kind of taken this over the last couple of years. The people here feel that the city's getting this reputation that this is a place that good hockey players don't want to stay. They want to get out. Of course, Bobrovsky and Panarin leave as free agents. The Dubois saga happens earlier this year. As a guy who played here, as a guy who lived here, can you dispel some of those rumors about Columbus and it really is a good hockey town?
I'd still be living there if it wasn't for my wife and her family back in this area. She wanted to raise our children around her parents, and I get that. I think everyone that has family around to help out. So we have some nieces and nephews that are close in age around here, so it made sense for us to come back. But other than that, I'd still be there for sure. I love the town. The group of guys there are awesome. It's a great organization. They just a classy town, classy organization. Everything is top notch, and great golf. You can talk about the schools. Like everything is really awesome there in Columbus. As for guys not want to be there, I think it might be the other way around. The organization might not want to sign Bobrovsky because they got Korpisalo in the wings. You know what I mean? I know they made a big run at Panarin, but the other guys that have left, Dubois, if you don't want to be here, screw you. See you later. And you bring in a couple of great players that have played really well for him, and hopefully you can get them signed. So it's interesting to see, no one wants to play there. That's what the media says or whatever. But, I wouldn't want to play in Toronto, just how the media acts to you. You can't go outside without getting mobbed. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where every city has some great things, and every city has a few bad things as well. Who wouldn't want to play in Florida? But is it a cool place to play hockey? Probably not, but it's a great place to live. Phoenix, Arizona, same thing, right? It's you can pick the good and bad with everything.
Right. And I always say, guys get paid such the amount of money, you can go visit anywhere you want to, right?
yeah, exactly.
Nick Foligno, who you mentioned, of course, you're good friends with. He's in a contract year here, and I wonder, and I really hope that they find a way for Nick to stay here. And I don't know what his thoughts are, but speaking as his former teammate and his former friend, how important is this guy to the Columbus Blue Jackets and to the Columbus community?
Well, he just wears his heart on his sleeve, right? You could tell that, off the ice when I first got traded there, he was reaching out to me, just an instant friend, right? Friend for life, we call it. There's a lot of hockey friends that you have that you play with that you lose touch with, but Nick's just does an excellent effort of reaching out to me. I do the same to him, and we'll always have that bond of friendship forever. So he's just a class act off the ice. On the ice, same thing. He plays hard every shift. He demands a lot from his teammates as well. He's got the skill, he's got the shot, he's got the speed. It's not like he's slowing down right now. So I think he is the leader of that the team, of the city, and I think people look up to him as well. So it's always good to have a guy like that. And, it might not be, Crosby being your captain, but, Nick Foligno brings a lot to the table. And, I hope he, signs back there and continue his career in Columbus. And he's always unfinished business there in Columbus, right? Yeah, they won a round a couple of years ago to get to the second round. They want more. He wants more. And he could, every time I talk to him, he's always, what do you think, Scotty? What can I do? What can I do here? Whatever, right? So he's just always learning. He's always got the right frame of mind of the team first, and that's what you want in a captain.
After the game the other night, being the first game with fans in the building, Nick went and got on the microphone and talked on the PA and thanked the fans and told them how much they had missed them and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And and everybody felt good because it was a 4-1 win, but I just thought it was really classy. I don't know whose idea it was, but it was really classy. So you might want to tell Claude Giroux that it wasn't a bad move if you're getting some fans back in Philly, right?
Yeah, I will. Just they'll love Claude even more.
Yeah. Now, unless you lose 5-1, then you might not want to get on there.
Yeah.
They might not hear him over the booze, because that's how Philly is, huh? It is such a unique city when it comes to the fans. I love teasing Torts about it all the time because, of course they hated him when he was there. What is it about the Philadelphia fan? From the outside, you look and you go, these are the biggest jerks in the world. But I know once you get in there that they're just hard on their sleeve caring people, and they're going to give you crap and you just give it back, right?
Yeah, I said this the other day too. I was with my first, must have been my second game or third game in a Philadelphia Flyers jersey, playing, and it was a TV timeout, so nothing's really going on. And next thing you know, the crowds get louder and louder and louder. And kind of look up, and all the guys stand up on the bench and look back, and there's a Rangers fan and a Flyers fan just toe to toe in the stands, and beers flying everywhere, and people are dumping beers on the Rangers fan. I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a great place for me. Like, you just act, not like a goof, but I play hard. I fly. I got my hair flying everywhere, and I'm like, this is going to be a good fit for me. And they're hard on the guys. They obviously yell and shoot on the power play. Because they just want goals and action, and the fights when things aren't going so good. But they're great fans and very passionate. Is probably the best way to describe them.
When you played there, you were the perfect Pennsylvania guy because you were loved in Philly and you were hated in Pittsburgh. And I was born in Pittsburgh and grew up around there, so I still know my family. Still, if I called my brother and I said, I'm going to talk to Scott Hartnell, why would you talk to Scott Hartnell? Why would you talk to that jerk? Right? How much did you enjoy being part of that rivalry when you were in Philly? And then actually it kind of carried over when you came to Columbus because Pittsburgh comes into the division. You were able to stick it to him a couple of times there too.
Yeah, it's just fun going to other teams' rink and trying to ruin 20,000 fans and everyone watching at home that we just kicked the crap out of the Pens and just beat up Malkin and beat up Crosby and run over Letang and fought somebody, Craig Adams, and you go on, and I think there was a poll in Pittsburgh, one of the most hated athletes of all time on other teams, and I was up there on top of the list. So I was pretty. When you're up there, you're doing a good job. So I just love kind of getting under their top guy's skin, and we had some great playoff matches, and that's where rivalries are made. They had our numbers. The 2007, 2008, they beat us when they were. When they got a cup, I think in the 2009, and then we took it to them 2 or 3 years in a row and mopped them up in the playoffs too. So it's exciting to get in those battles and just enjoy. I don't know, just enjoy playing. Talk about it kind of makes you miss it and want to get out there and play. Right there, Flyers are playing Pittsburgh tonight, and I'm working the pre and post, so it'll be just fun. Like you're actually playing because you're cheering for the Flyers and you want them to win and have a good playoff run.
What kind of relationship did you have with Sidney Crosby when you played?
He's an honest player. I think, when he first came in the league, he was kind of a little bit of a baby, I think. And, he had that persona for a bit. And, once he won his cup, in the back-to-back cups, he's just a solid guy. I've hung out with him away from the rink a couple times, a couple drinks with him or whatever. And he's just a down-to-earth guy. You kind of want to picture these guys on other teams that you hate that are, beating your team or scored all these goals against you. You want them to be, an a-hole or, just a prick, right? And he's like one of the nicest guy. And you hear that, time and time throughout the whole league, the guys that you want, you hope they're bad guys, but they end up being, the nicest guys in the world and probably your best friend if you played on that team, right? So that's the kicker of this game. It's a beautiful game, but those things, they disappoint you when they're not good, the good guys, right?
Yeah. It still happens in the media business too, because I know we've gotten guys throughout the year and I thought, oh, this guy, this is not going to be fun. And in many cases I was like, oh, he's cool. I want to go talk to him again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, yeah. On the circuit. Well, John Tortorella is a great example. I've told him this story. When he first got hired, I went and I watched all his YouTube clips and I looked at my wife and I said, how am I going to handle this guy? I was, my first interview I did with him in Minnesota, I was nervous and I had done it for like 20 years. Right. But, now it's second nature. He's, he gives it to me. I give it to him. We have a good time and he gives me great information. So what do you miss the most?
One of my best stories about Torres too, he was hard on us, and I wasn't playing much. I was on the fourth line with Sam Gagner and Lucas Sedlak, and we were, a lot of times our best line a lot of nights, right? I think I almost had 20 goals on, playing 8-9 minutes a night, and so I, my brothers would ask, how is he? And I'm like, I just can't get on the ice. I'm like upset, whatever. He's saying this to this guy. He's calling me out. He sat me like, blah, blah, blah. Right. So not a lot of good talk, but looking back, stepping away, it was, good for the team, good for this. We had a great team that one year. We were almost President's Trophy actually until the last like 10 days of the season. Anyway, my brother and his son fly in. My nephew was, I don't know, maybe 8, 9, 10 years old, something like that. And so Torts sees my brother and my nephew with the Blue Jacket jersey on, and, hey, Scott, who's this? And I'm like, oh, it's my brother, Devin. And, oh, where are you from, Devin? And, who's this little guy? And William. And, they talk for like literally 2 minutes, a long time to talk for 2 minutes for a coach who's busy doing something. And my brother looks at me, he's like, oh my God, he's the nicest man ever. What are you talking about? I'm like, that's not him. That's not how he usually talks to me. I'll tell you that much, right? So it was pretty funny to have that little interaction. And so he always, Devin always, my brother always gave it to me after that.
Tell Devin, wear that jersey from 7 to 9:30 and sit in front of him and tell me if you feel the same way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you miss the most about playing?
Few things. I miss the soccer game before the game, the kickball. You get warmed up. You have 10 or 12 guys, and you're warming up, and you're trying to stir the other guy to get him out of the game, and everyone's trying to win. That's the competitive part of it. Obviously, I miss playing. I miss warm ups. No helmet, skating around with the flow going. I miss that a lot. Just being around the guys in the plane, the cars in the plane. Going for dinners on the road. Obviously, playoffs too. That's what everyone. We had a good run in 2010 here with the Flyers that, we lost in game 6 in the finals, and, didn't win us down the cup, but just those playoff games were so intense, and just love all that.
What's going on with your Hartnell Down Foundation? Because I assume you're not falling down on the TV set now. So how are you keeping it going?
We kind of shut it down, actually, Bob. We had a good run. We had probably 6-7 years. We had a couple great nights in Columbus, raising a bunch of money. A bunch of kids came up from Columbus to Minnesota to participate in these hockey camps. In Philadelphia as well. We had a bunch of kids fly out from here. So it was kind of something that I probably knew was going to shut down after I was done playing, and it kind of did wind down. But it was brought a lot of good memories, and for someone. Counting how many times I fell down on the ice, kind of poking fun at me, maybe being a bully, and, turn it into something so wonderful and great for kids that probably didn't have the opportunity to go to these hockey camps and see us pros practice and train. It was an awesome feeling.
Yeah, I give you a lot of credit for that, because the self-deprecating part of you turned into so many good things for so many kids, right? Honestly.
Yeah, no, it was great. And one of my best recollections of it, watching these kids, do the plyometrics and jump over, all these hurdles and things like that. It was one night, and these kids from Philadelphia, they're laying down on the grass. I'm like, you guys all right? And in Minnesota, in the middle of the country, and they're looking up at the stars, and they're like, look, and I hadn't looked up at the stars, probably in my adult life. Right. So I laid down beside him for a few minutes, and it was just like mind blowing how many stars you could see. And, these kids are growing up in the city, and, with all the lights and everything, you can't see how beautiful the sky was. Right. And so we sat there for 5 minutes, didn't even say a word, and just kind of looked up there and was like, wow, this is awesome. Like, thanks guys for you taught me something, right? Just to slow down in my life and look what's beautiful. And it was pretty, that was a good moment that me and a couple kids had.
That's awesome. And it's awesome that they came back to you just like that. The last thing I want to ask you about, we were talking about working in the broadcast business, and it's like working with line mates on the ice. Who are your favorite people to work with at the NHL Network? Maybe I shouldn't put it that way, because you don't want to shun anybody, but who do you feel you work with the best at the NHL Network? How about that?
Kevin Weeks is great. He's got such a good sense of humor. His knowledge of the game, the players that are playing. He's just a real good cat. The host, there's Tony Luffman.
What is it like to work with Tony? Because like I've interviewed Tony before, and I watch him, and a couple weeks ago I watched him interview Phil Bourque before a game. I mean, he's nuts, right? He's nuts.
I was just going to say that he is absolutely nuts. And, we talk in the pre-meetings, just to kind of get some feeling of the games, and, Scotty, what do you think in this situation or any interactions with this guy, and I'll tell like a quick story, and then we get on air, and he'd be like, I didn't know he was probing me for a story to ask me on the air, right? And whether it's an offside story or not like a good story or bad story. And I'm sitting there telling it, he's like losing it, cracking up. Like, it is a funny story, right? But he's like, over the top, and gets my personality out, get going to the people on TV. So he does a great job. But they're all great. They're all professionals, good pros, and it's amazing, now being in it, how good you guys are, how good you are, Bob, Rimmer, just like getting the best or getting the good stories out from you guys or from us, right? The analysts, I guess, and they're so good at just teeing you up softballs, and we try and hit them out of the park, right? So it's been a good learning curve here the last few years, and being in Philly, doing the stuff for the Flyers, it's kind of fun, kind of focusing on one team and cheering for the Flyers.
Well, that's the key to it, Scotty. I mean, we set you guys up, especially early on. I like to make you feel comfortable, right? Just let you know when you can talk. That's the biggest thing, I think, for former players. When can I talk? Should I say something now? And so if I can make that easy on guys, that goes the best. But at the end of the day, and I think you're finding this out from everything you said, at the end of the day, we're just having conversations and trying to tell good stories. And to be honest with you, it's the same stories and same conversations we have on the bus, in the hotel, on the plane. We just have to clean it up and take some of the words out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, minus a few F-bombs, that's for sure.
Well, again, I'm glad to see you doing so well. I knew you were going to be a star at this. As you said, when it didn't work out that we could work together, I was really disappointed because I knew you were going to be good just because of your personality, and I watch you all the time, and I think you're great. I really do. And when do you and Jody Shelley get to work NHL Network at the same time? I can't wait to see that.
It's going to be on I might text Josh Bernstein up at the NHL Network just to get us together. That would be some good TV. I hope you tune in for that one, Bob.
Oh, I'd tune into it. I'd DVR it. I'd have to go back and watch it again. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
It would be must see TV. No question. Scotty, thank you so much.
Make sure you say hi to Jody. Call him Simple Jack for me. He'll get a kick out of that one. Thanks, Bob.
How's the family?
Oh, great, man! They're awesome. My son will be 3 in May. We had a daughter right at the beginning of the pandemic in April last year in 2020. So to be quarantined and not leave the house and have these two little loves of our lives to hang out with, and kind of learn and teach them everything that we know, just with trying to teach Wesley how to speak and potty train, and feeding bottles to our daughter Molly. It's been nothing short of perfect, and just the perfect age to be stuck at home with them.
It's like your last couple of years in the NHL with the rookies that were coming in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Scotty, thank you so much. Again, just great to talk to you and great to catch up, and keep doing what you're doing, man. It's fun to watch.
Thanks, Bob. Go CBJ.
It was great to have Scott on today's show, and I really do think that he does a good job. As I told him, I think he brings something that this game is lacking. He brings that sense of humor and that sense of fun. So it's always fun to talk to him, and I'm glad he came on and spoke with us here today. Blue Jackets and the Dallas Stars once again tomorrow night, 8 o'clock face-off in Dallas. And so that means the pregame coverage will begin at 7:30, both on Fox Sports Ohio and on the Blue Jackets radio network. I hope you'll join me there, see if the Blue Jackets can get a sweep and close this thing out in Dallas. They need to start winning consecutive games. They need to put together some kind of a streak here. And hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully what we've seen in the last 2 games means that they're heading in that direction, that they're trending, right? That's the way to put it. Hopefully they're trending in a positive direction. So we'll see if they can get that second win against the Dallas Stars tomorrow night. That's going to do it for today's edition of CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. Until next time, I'm Bob McElligott saying so long.